What's going down? It's your boy DJ Marcellus though. I'm here in the warehouse. We got the full setup going to show you guys an awesome showcase for the new Soundswitch project. And in this first little clip, I got my boy Brennan with his band here, Pinkfield. Make sure you give them guys a follow. I will put their information here. And we're going to jam out today for a little bit, give you guys a demo with some non-copyright music, hopefully, or maybe just covers. So, you know, they kind of let that slide through the YouTube algorithm. But then I will be giving you a full rundown of the new updates. So let's get into it.
That's so many voice cracks, it's fine though.
We are here in the warehouse to officially announce that the Soundswitch Diamond 3.0 project is officially done. So in today's video, I'm going to go through the project, talk about a lot of the new changes, especially because Soundswitch had a huge update, Soundswitch 2.9, that allowed for us to get a lot more creative with our programming, adding in fixtures, etc., etc. All right, so you're curious, what is a Soundswitch pre-programmed project? A Soundswitch pre-programmed project is pretty much a project that is mapped out for a lot of the fixtures that you have that you can download and upload into Soundswitch. The reason I do this, and a couple other people do this, is to allow you DJs and other lighting people to get into DMX lighting without any knowledge, but still get awesome shows, more intuitive than the base level shows that come pre-installed into some DMX softwares. So if you're one of those guys who buy the software, think that it would be easy, but don't necessarily have the time or want to spend the time to learn how to program, this project is pretty much perfect for you. We're going to get into the project and we're going to talk about the setup here because the setup is insane. It took me about 2 days to finalize, and also I did the setup to finalize the project to make sure everything was looking as good as it did in the visualizer. And some exciting news about the visualizer as well. So going over the setup, up first we have here the newest addition to the Both lighting family. This is our BPM-Beam. This is a battery powered beam mover. Now it does has a pretty cool halo ring on the outside here, but it is not activated on this static scene we got engaged right now, just the blue and white static scene. The nice thing about these is they have the wireless DMX built in, so you don't need any receivers for them, and with them being battery powered, you can place them practically anywhere with no cable limits. Up next we have our Mini Beam 100s. These are pretty much the battery or the non-battery version of these. Now these do have a couple more gobos, but these guys are super tiny. We just mounted them here sideways on our truss totem. Down below we have our IR4s. We are using IR4s in this whole entire demo, but all our uplights work on the same channel. So if you have the Chroma Cannons, the S4s, the S6, all you gotta do is set them to the same channel and they will work perfectly fine. Now, talking about our DMX routing here for the top of the truss totem, I have one cable ran down to a Transmit Pro. Now, if you didn't know, you can use a Transmit Pro as a receiver as well. And then for this little setup here, I have a receiver plugged in to the Aurora 1915 up here, coming down into the Mini Beam 100. So that's how pretty much everything is connected to DMX on the totem here. All these are just wired to each other. So getting on to the next fixture, I already mentioned the Aurora. This is our wash mover, one of the most popular movers for a lot of DJs because we can't really use haze in a lot of venues. Up next is our hybrid 300s. These are more of our professional grade fixtures. They're 300 watts. They're super bright. Like literally with the beam coming out, if you put your hand out, you can feel the heat off of the lamp inside that light. This is a spot wash and beam fixture, so it's a 3-in-1. The second newest to our lineup is the Splash X's. These are a BI fixture with a LED halo ring around the lens there. You will see some pretty cool shots of those in the video. And then, like I said, all this up here is just routed and linked to each other, all connecting back to that DMX Transmit Pro. Obviously, we gotta have the 360 tubes. These are the staple of events now. If you guys don't got these, I literally get the most comments on the 360 tubes while I'm at an event. So if you want to up your setup, get some looks, you know, people telling people, oh, his setup is amazing, 360 tubes is the way to go for sure. And then next, we have our Pix bars here. Now, our Pix bars are battery powered and they have wireless DMX built in as well. So that's actually how I'm controlling this mover. With a lot of our fixtures that have a DMX out on it, you can use those fixtures as a receiver to talk to the next fixture. So here I have the Pix bar routed from the DMX out, going up into the MH150 spot mover here. And that's how this is receiving DMX connection. So that allows for me to only have one cable going up for power and not multiple receivers to ensure that my connection is as best as possible. And same thing going on this side. And pretty much the setup is just mirrored throughout the whole setup. And then I guess the last thing that I need to talk about, which we really haven't advertised too much, is our Both Lighting USA haze machine. So this is what I'm going to be using to show the haze off, so you can see the cool beams, the prisms, especially those Splash X's up there. Alrighty, I almost forgot another thing that's in the project, the Cold Spark fountain. So the Cold Spark fountains are in the project. As far as special effects that aren't in the project, the Dancing on the Cloud machine and the haze machine and the dual rotating Cold Spark are not in the project. Mainly, I think the Dancing on the Cloud shouldn't be in the project because it's one of them special occasion moment things where you trigger it on for like the first dance and then you're pretty much done with it. So kind of waste of DMX space in my opinion. And then same thing with the haze machine. They got a real cool time setting on there where you can set up the intervals that will allow it to do its job and produce haze. And then, you know, if you need to, just have somebody run over there and cut it off. But that's why those two are in the project. And I almost forgot as well that currently on this project, we are on 2 universes. Now, don't get too scared about that. I will show you guys how to actually add all the fixtures that you want in one universe on the software. But we are rocking 2 universes. And if you're curious on how to do this wirelessly, what you need to do is just make sure that your wireless channels on your transmitters are set up differently. So on this one, we're rocking ID4, and that is for all the movers up at the top. Pretty much the Splash X's, the Splash Pros, and the hybrids. And then on Universe 1 here, that is ID7, which is our white channel. We're rocking pretty much everything else. So the BPM-Beams, 4 tubes in 80 channel mode, the Pix bars, the MH150s, the Auroras, the Cold Spark fountains, the uplights. So everything else will fit. As you can tell, you can fit a decent setup within one universe. So everything below is in one universe and everything up top is in one universe. Alrighty, now since we're all done talking about setup, let's go ahead and talk about the new updates on the project. And first, we're going to jump over here to the DMX addresses. As mentioned before, we are operating on 2 universes for the setup. And in this setup, we have the tubes programmed in 80 channel mode. In our previous edition, it was programmed in 40 channel mode, which allows for more custom pixel mapping when doing the programming. And then you can see here, we pretty much have all our popular fixtures able to fit in one universe. So we got the Cold Sparks on the first few channels. We got the uplights starting on channel 6 and then 16. Then I also included the Wash Effects 2s in there because us as a DJ company, we do use the Wash Effects for a lot of our events. So we wanted to make sure that those were in there because a lot of you guys have the Wash Effects 2s. And then you have our Pixbar 5050s. Those are only programmed on one mode, so you only got to worry about channel 42 for those. The Mini Beam 100s, those are the movers that are sideways on the truss totems. Our MH150s, those are the movers directly in the middle on the gravity stands. And then we have our BPM-Beams and our Auroras. So I forgot the Auroras. The Auroras are on the truss totems on the outside, on the top. And then our BPM-Beams are on the gravity stands towards the front. So that is all in Universe 1. In Universe 2, you have the Splash X's, which is channel 1 and 31. Those are the two movers towards the middle of the top truss hang. And then you have the Splash Wash movers. These are our hybrid 300s. Those are the two movers to the outside of the truss hang on the top. And then last but not least, the BI movers. These are pretty much our Splash Pros. These are very similar to the Splash X's in the middle, but other than having the LED ring on the outside, the Splash Pros are a lot brighter of a fixture. Those are 300 watts. So getting into the rest of the updates here, we added a lot of attribute cues. So I'm gonna pull up all these attribute cues. So for our attribute cue mapping, we have our wash movers here. These are for the fixtures like the MH150s or those new Splash Pros. The spot beam mover fixture are for fixtures like the MH150s or the mini beam movers. Now the FX Pix bars have their own folder because they have a bunch of inbuilt programs that you can set up attribute cues for. So I went ahead and did roughly 10 plus of my favorite, including the rainbow for the attribute cues there, and pretty similar to the BPM effects and then the Splash X's. So the Splash X effect 1 is the main gobo. So you can make the LEDs inside the Splash X's do chases and make the LED ring do something different than what's going on in the master. So that's how you can adjust those two settings, and those are already adjusted in the profile for you. And then final for our attribute cues are our BPM beams. So this main BPM beam folder is just your basic effects for the actual beam, and then all the effects folders underneath here are your different effects for the LED ring on the outside. Now with those LED rings on the outside, you do have to specifically choose a color. You cannot use your Soundswitch to DMX it to the color. So you have to set an attribute for the specific colors. So I went ahead and did that for all you if you want to get into some of your own custom programming. Now let's get into the Autoloops. So with the new Soundswitch update, it allows for you to have 128 new Autoloops. In this project, we have at pretty much double our platinum size or our gold size as far as the amount of Autoloops that we added to this project. And over time in future updates, we will start to fill out all these Autoloops. So make sure you subscribe to learn more and stay up to date. Before I disengage this static scene here, I just want to show you guys the code spark button now working on the smoke. So watch when I hit the smoke. I'm on the general static scene here, so now I don't have to go back through and adjust any of my static scenes. So hitting smoke, then you can adjust the intensity straight off the control 1. So if you want your sparks to shoot higher, shoot lower. It allows for a little bit more intuitive control of the code sparks, and then you just hit smoke to disengage them and you're up and running. The main thing to remember though when using code sparks on DMX is that you ensure that you clean out your code sparks after every event. What that does is get out any extra debris that may be lodged up in the system that can cause a malfunction at your next event potentially. So starting off, when you first load up Soundswitch, if you don't have any auto loop loaded up, to access your auto loops, you hit the bottom A in the right corner here. If you don't have any auto loop loaded up, your lights will just all be blackout instead of the pix bars. For some reason, those like to turn all on when you're not connected to DMX. So talking about our auto loops here, this first profile or bank is more of your chill presets, so like your fades. So here we have a rainbow fade, so I'll let that play a little bit. And this just got the movers panning back and forth slowly. These are great for like your slow dances or intermissions if you're doing like a band or something. So I would just toggle through a couple of those. This is our full rainbow here, just basic, no real pixel mapping going on the tubes. If you can see there closely though, I'm gonna go up to the BPM-Beams and the Splash X's just to show you that LED ring that I was talking about earlier. It's pretty cool. It's a little eye candy effect added to the fixture. And you can see there, beam effect that the Splash X produced as well. Let me see if I can get that LED ring a little better. But yeah, those Splash X's are super cool. But let me get back over here to show you guys the rest. A couple of the new ones that we added was this Love 2. So this is a little bit more upbeat fade, a little quicker movement positions. And then the RGB wide to white. So you can see what that looks like. Full neon, just more of your more vibrant colors in the fade. Neon to white. Got some chases going on the tubes. The two outside tubes are moving slightly quicker than the inside tubes. And then in bank 2, we have some of our warm-up auto loops. So the warm-up auto loops are pretty much when the dance floor is just getting started and you want to provide some good vibes. So they're not gonna be too crazy. A lot of 2-color combinations, not really jumping into 3 or multicolor combinations in the warm-up bank. As you can tell here, really love the Splash X's there and the beams that they provide with the rotating lens inside. You can kind of see some of the chase patterns that those Splash X's are doing as well. So I'm just running through some of the auto loops here to show you. If you guys want to get the full experience, I definitely recommend getting the project. Now, jumping on to bank 3 is our primetime banks. These are more of our high energy banks, made for when the party's really going. Real great for some EDM music. So I'm just going to start one of these. As you can see, a lot of chases, a lot of pulses. And these are 2 red, white, and blue ones. It's one of my new favorite auto loops. I love the wave effect created by the tubes going on there. Now jumping over here to bank 4, let's talk about our special auto loops. So our special auto loops consist of some build up and some drop auto loops. So we got 2 build up auto loops there. You can trigger those exactly at the build up. With the new Soundswitch update, it allows for you to pretty much trigger cue points or auto loops whenever your heart desires. So it allows you to really get the auto loops on beat. So if you trigger that build up auto loop, when it's time for the build up, you know, 8 bars before the drop is usually the build up. You can trigger that, and then I'll show you what this build up look like. It's just a red and pink build up here. Got chases going between all the fixtures. So that's build up 1, and then here go drop 1 as well. So drop is a lot longer of an auto loop, made to switch pretty much every 4 bars the color, but it's high intensity, lots of chases, lots of movement going on. And then drop 2 is, I call the VU meter drop. So this is going to be a lot of red, green, and yellow, but your tubes are going to look like a VU meter, as if you're playing music in the studio, your mixer. And now the newest ones I added is motion static. I really like these motion statics because when programming in 80 channel mode, you can't necessarily get any sort of static scene with motion inside of your tubes. So I created these motion statics to allow you to achieve some motion in your tubes while you're in a static scene. And I was able to do that because of Soundswitch new update allowing for infinite repeat of auto loops. So to make sure that these static loops are working and is repeating, you do need to make sure some settings are changed. So what we're going to do is, before we play this auto loop, we're going to go up here to the settings. We're going to go to performance mode. We're going to override scripted tracks, and then we're going to do infinite auto loop repeat. So once we're done adjusting those settings in the auto loops, we then need to come over to our MIDI, and then on the auto loop tab, you will see a repeat auto loop button. So we want to repeat that auto loop button so that whatever pad we're on will stay repeating. So no matter what song you load up, no matter what song you're playing, this auto loop will continue to repeat. So now we're going to mark that done. And then if we play this auto loop here, this is just a slow chase going up and down. It's really not made to take eyes off of what's going on at the event. It's just there to create a little eye candy for the occasional look and allow some motion and to show the cool effects inside the 360 tubes. This is one of my more slower ones, so it's a simple just going up. This is one of my favorite ones. It's just a slow fade up, as you can see here on the tubes. Okay, so with these motion statics, you can customize the colors, you know. Not all the time you just want to do white. So on the control one over here or in your software, when you come over to the performance mode pad, all of these pads are overrides. So the way that Soundswitch kind of work is there's 3 layers of overrides, right? So your first layer is your auto scripting or your auto loops that you got, all right? And then after your auto scripts or auto loops that you got, your next layer of overrides will then be your static loops. So any of these static loops will override any of your auto loops. And then your final layer of overrides is your main performance mode page here with your color overrides and your position overrides. Within your color and position overrides, you can set those to be a toggle mode. So that's what I got going on here. So now you can see this motion static that I created is all red now. Or you can set those to be a press mode. So whenever you press the color, that it switches to the color that you assigned it to. To change those colors, you simply right click, and to change the mode, right click, and you can switch it from toggle or press mode and then select color. And this color will resemble the top of the control one here. So that's one way to change the color of your motion statics. The second way to change the color of your motion statics is by using your static looks that we created here. So I'm going to jump over to the static look page and talk about that real quick as we made some updates to it. So we got static ice white, we got a static warm white, we got static blue, green, red, pink, purple, and amber. And then we also have all of those with white as well. So if you want to go blue and white, green and white, red, white, pink, white, etc., amber, white, all those are set up good to go for you. And then we have a couple flashes here. So let me get off of this motion static so you can see. So I'm gonna play this scene here, jump back over, and what these flashes are is they just flash that specific category. So if we want to flash the uplights, you can see the uplights flashing white there as I'm pressing. We can flash the movers white, tube flash white, and then pix bars flash white. And then you also got a blackout for these as well. So all of these are currently in press mode. If you want, same way as those color overrides and those position overrides, you can right click and then switch it to toggle mode. So whenever you press any of these blackouts, that it blacks out that specific category. And then we have our tube flashes. So these are for the 4 tubes that we have up in the project. So you can do your own standalone chases while on event. So tube 1, tube 2, tube 3, tube 4. Now getting back over to the motion statics there, we're going to re-engage this motion static. I'm going to let that play. Now say you want to do multiple colors with the motion static as far as one of the auto loops that we had already set. So we'll go red and white. As you can tell there are tubes with a full static red and a full static white. If you come over to the static scene, right click, edit, and disengage the tubes will still read the motion static that you got going on. So now we can have multiple colors and movements in a static scene with our tubes in 80 channel mode, giving us some real cool effects and eye candy effects during the static scene. You know, that's similar to having your movers do movement while you're in a static scene. And if you don't know how to engage your movers to do movement, you just hit the movement button up here on the top, and it would switch between doing movement or no movement. You can adjust the size with the 2 dials up at the top. So you got your movement speed, and then you got your movement size. So if we want it to be super huge and super fast, you know, we can adjust it to be super huge and fast. And say right now you don't like the movement effect that's going on, jump over to your performance page and right click on movement, and then go down to movement and effects, and it'll allow you to select different movement effects. So you know, one of the most popular ones is just a circle. So there go our circle. Obviously that's pretty fast. We wouldn't want it going that crazy while in cocktail hour. So now we can have it going pretty slow with some movement in the tubes, movement in the movers, but it's not time to party. So we just got a nice theme going on. Now, as you can tell, there's a lot of stuff going on in the new project that you can take advantage of to really customize your show. And let me turn those movements off. But you can really customize your show with a lot of new stuff that is added to the project. I wanted to make sure I filled up a lot of those auto loops for you. And just getting into some of the nitty-gritty details now. If you want to adjust the brightness of any of your fixtures, all your wash light fixtures are assigned on group 1. So if I jump over here to group 1, these are pretty much our up lights. If I scroll down, you can see the up lights there on the back of the scrim starts to turn down, and that will adjust your intensity for your up lights. To get to group 2, you just hit group 1 again, and then you get to group 2. To adjust group 2 is your movers. So if your movers are too bright at the venue or the event, you can then adjust your mover main brightness on group 2. On group 3 are your tubes. And then group 4 are your pix bars. So I have those pix bars turned down a lot right now. If you guys haven't seen the pix bars in person, they are super bright. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn those up, and you can see how it just pretty much washes out the camera there. You can't even tell that there's individual LEDs going on there. Now jumping over to performance mode, since we don't have a DJ controller connected, what we're going to do is come to the top corner here with the 3 boxes and the down arrow to select our source. So in our source for this demo, we're just using the Ableton Link feature just so that the auto loops will play. And because I don't have any music going on, but Soundswitch did recently just add BPM detection, which allows for you to use a loopback, or audio interface, or anything of that sort to route your audio from your audio source into another laptop to use Soundswitch, so you don't have to use Soundswitch on your DJ laptop primarily. So while we got that in link mode, this allows for us to fully change our auto loops. So wherever we jump here for auto loops, you can see that all the lights will change. Let me get my hand in there. I'm just pressing around on some of the auto loops. Currently, I'm on the fade page. So with the new Control 1 update and Soundswitch 2.9 update, they have made some adjustments to how the Control 1 actually works. With the Control 1 now, whenever you press an auto loop, it jumps directly to that auto loop. So there's no waiting to the first downbeat for it to jump to that auto loop. And then when you jump between your pages, it doesn't specifically jump to that bank of auto loops. So once you jump to your pages, you still need to then trigger an auto loop within that page for that page to start playing. Now, if you want to primarily just play one page, then you need to hold down the bank that you decide you want to play, and it will start to play just that bank. Now earlier, you remember we toggled on the repeat auto loop. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. And then I'm going to put my auto loops on random. So it will just randomly jump around on the page that we selected. So, you know, most of the time while I'm DJing, depending on the time of the night, I would just stay on the page and let that page do its thing. You know, if I jump to a slow song, then I'm coming over here, I'm holding down bank 1, and then I'm jumping to a fade real quick. So that's pretty much how I operate. You know, when it's chill, when you're not really playing hype songs, fade bank. When it's starting to warm up and the party's starting to get going, then we jump over to bank number 2, the warm up bank, and now it's prime time. We jump over to bank number 3. The nice thing about that new update though, is when you go to trigger things like the build up and the drop, you can make it then resort back to that bank that you were on. Alrighty, so the last thing I got in this update for you guys, it's actually pretty huge. So if you are familiar with Soundswitch, you probably know that Soundswitch doesn't include a visualizer in the project. It does have a master track visualizer, but it's only a 2D visualizer, and it only shows you the colors that's on the master track. So in the new update, I have been using Capture to do a lot of the programming and get the project prepared and ready for you guys. But I was also able to find out that in Capture, you can provide a presentation file for you guys to all get a visualizer for free that's pre-made, ready for you to go. So I'm going to show you how to ensure that that visualizer is set up on both Windows and Mac in the download file. To get started using the visualizer included with the project, the download will come in a separate zip file as the both lighting Diamond 3.0 visualizer. Now you need to go ahead and extract that file wherever your heart desires onto your computer. So once you extract that file, make sure once again that you have Capture downloaded. It would then allow for you to open up the application file. So double clicking on that application file on Windows computer will open up Sound or Capture project to show you what's going on in Soundswitch. Now, if you come over here to external, this will give us live view of what's going on in our lights. Now, these banks here are just a couple auto loops that I recorded that you can check out. But if you click on external, this is where you will be able to see in real time what's happening in Soundswitch with your lights. But first you need to make sure Capture is loaded up and then you open up Soundswitch. So we're gonna go ahead and open up Soundswitch here. You can see our whole scene just went black because it's receiving connection. Now, if you're not receiving connection to your Capture from Soundswitch, you need to come over here to settings, go to hardware, enable ArtNet and enable local host ArtNet node. And this will send any DMX information over to the Capture project. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just upload a song. And then I'm gonna hit the auto script here on Soundswitch. So once I hit the auto script, let it do its thing. Let the song play.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And now you can see it's operating in the visualizer.
Okay.
And let's come back over here to Soundswitch, jump up in the song a little bit. And as you can see there in the live video, it's pretty accurate on what it's showing in the software versus what it's showing in the camera here at the live event. So you can see we probably hit a strobe node here. So yep, we got strobes going on here. So that's why our pix bars are acting crazy. But this is a cool feature and cool addition to the project that allows you guys to get more into DMXing and start learning some things yourself. So this is included with all downloads of the Diamond 3.0 project. So I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of that because my head is hurting with all these strobes going on. And to jump out of your song that you were mapping, just jump to the A and click on auto loop. So I'm not gonna save this one, so I'm just gonna hit no. With my guy David, and in this little quick reel, I'm going to show you guys how you can upload the Capture project to use the presentation. With Macs, to open up the project, it's a little different. Besides clicking on the actual project application file, you want to click on this Mac binary archive folder. This will actually open up the presentation file for you. So once you click open, you can see that the presentation file is now active. We're pretty much going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far and like the programming. You know, like I said earlier, we got over 100+ users on the pre-programmed project, and I am thankful for all you guys who bought the project and giving me nothing but great feedback. I really take pride and joy in doing this, so that's part of the reason why it took so long, because I want to make sure it was an official update and a boost to what you currently have. And just going over some of those updates one more time, what happened in the project. We switched all the tubes to 80 channel mode. We redid all the positions, redid all the attribute cues. We added in the BPM-Beams, the Splash X's, the hybrids, the Splash Pros. We updated the code sparks to now work off the smoke button instead of using the old school on off clean function. Oh, crap ton more static looks, obviously more auto loops, some special auto loops. And then to really top it off, we added a visualizer in the project for you, so you guys can get to customizing your own light shows and auto scripting your own shows without any hassle of coming to have to set up any massive gear. You know, that was one of my biggest gripes when getting into DMXing, was having a visualizer. And a lot of other visualizers honestly are way harder to set up than Capture in my experience. So if you do decide that you like capturing, you maybe want to invest in it, definitely do. I don't have no partnership deal or anything with them. It's just a software that I support. Same with Soundswitch. It's another software that I support. If you have any more questions, just please feel free to reach out to us over at bothlightingusa.com. Give us a call, shoot us a text message. We're here for your support. And then also, if you do get the project, you get a free 30-minute to an hour call, depending on how long it takes, with myself to get the project all set up and good to go. Any support, assistance you need to make sure the project is actually running up and good to go on your computer, we're here to make sure we provide that for you, because we don't want to send you out with a download and have you confused on what's going on, how to make this work, how to do that. Now, if you're looking for more information, feel free to hit the link in the description below or head over to our Soundswitch page to see the differences between the new projects and what is included in each project. But the Platinum and the Gold 2.0 will now be 50% off. And if you want to get those projects, you can still get those projects to get a start into DMX.